I get to travel a lot, a little too much, but I do get to travel a lot, nationally and internationally. And I'm always searching, actively looking for how to take a big thought and congeal it so that I can understand it. And if I can understand it, then I can teach it. If I can't understand it, I've been around teachers who were teaching and you could tell they didn't know what they were talking about. They just read it somewhere 3 nights ago and it sounded good to them, and so they got on somebody else's horse and the horse is bucking and it's not going anywhere. So the big thought I want to share with you is, so how did you get here? How did I get here? How is it that I have a microphone in my hand? How is it that Pastor Bill and Pastor Deanne Johnson have enough influence to gather all of us into this room? You know, apart from Jesus, we are here because of these two people. Had it not been for them, we wouldn't be here. It's pretty cut and dry. You know, to giving God all the honor and glory, not being sacrilegious about it. At the earthly level, that's how it is. Bottom line is we're here because of them. So how did you get in this room? Question of how do some people get promoted and some don't? How is it that some people get a raise and others don't? How is it that some find pathways to life and some don't? How is it that you graduated with the same people and you went on and they didn't, or they went on and you didn't? How did we get to this place in our life? Because everybody keeps talking about going to the next level, next level, next. Now, the next level is not always high. You know, I've had the distinct opportunity of helping people to the next level into the basement. So the question, and I want to broaden that, because this is a leadership conference. I want to broaden that to say to you that many of you are pastors, many of you are leaders over departments, many of you have volunteers that work with you, many of you have staff people work for you. And I'm just talking about church now. Everything I'm going to teach is good for church and corporate, okay? There's no difference. Only difference is Jesus. Apart from that, bottom line is bottom line. You say if you're non-profit, they're for-profit, but they need money and you need money. Yeah, you know, Jesus may not be at your church service, but we will receive an offering. Yeah, doesn't matter what's going on, we will lift an offering. So we will do that. So that, I mean, doesn't matter what happens, we may not have praise and worship, but we will have an offering. So people say, well, that's corporate, that's church, that's ministry, that's marketplace. I want to just talk about leadership. So the people that you're leading, how do you build a team? Why is it that you have 5 people in front of you, but you favor one of them? Listen, you can't help but favor people. Don't just get rid of this idea that I treat everyone equally. Nobody does. Jesus does that. That's cool. He is who he is, and more power to him. But as far as you and I are concerned, we don't treat everyone equally. Because different people pull out different things out of us. So that is what the question became in my head. Why do people get to where they are? Why don't people get to where they want to go? And how did we get in this room? In my life, that is a big conundrum. I am amazed at it. My wife is amazed at it. Everybody who knows me is amazed at it. When I was pastoring, the largest Sunday I ever had, the largest Sunday attendance I ever had was 150 people. That's the largest. So, and now I consult with some of the largest churches on this planet. So the question, I'm going somewhere with this. So I have no experience. When I was at my church, I was staff. I could have a staff meeting 3 o'clock in the morning. We were all there. Staff, I'm here. church that I pastored, I played the keyboard. I made the announcements. I introduced myself, and the next voice you will hear. I received the offering. I turned on the lights, turned off the lights. I greeted people as they were coming in. I greeted them as they were leaving. So all that to say, I have no large church experience. And when you think of a large church, I'm there. I have no training in what I do. I have no certification in what I do. So the question is, how does somebody who pastored a country church get invited to that? I want to tell you, it is not your business card. It is not your website. You need all that. You need all that. It's not your website. It is not any of those things. So I'm going to give you what I think are three things. So here we go. I'm working this out. One day this is going to be a book, but I'm working it out right now. You all are helping me out here. Here are the three O's. Observations, opinions, opportunities. I have concluded this is how anybody gets anywhere in life. Somebody observes you and forms an opinion, and depending on their opinion, they might give you an. People are observing us. I'm going to unpack each one of these in a minute. And everyone all day long is forming an opinion about. When you walked in here, when you saw somebody, they formed an opinion. And your opportunities will be based on what they observe, what their opinion is. Hence, you're going to be where you are in life. So when I think about how we got here, this would be over here. But the observation started back there. And opinions started forming about me, you, whoever, and hence the opportunities that we have today. So I want to tell you, first of all, there's a camera on every one of you. Somebody's watching you all the time. And somebody's forming opinions all the time. You can't help that. You can't help that. Now, if you buy my paradigm here, okay, this is not in a book yet. Okay, if you write a book on this before I write my book on this. So, I know who I'm talking to here. Christians, the Lord revealed to me. Ain't no Lord revealing this to you. This is just an Indian dude who is just talking about stuff. So I've made this up. This is all made up stuff, okay? I'm sure I can find apostles and pastors can figure out verses behind each one of them. I'm not there yet. Probably never will get there, but so there's a camera on every one of you. If you buy this paradigm that this could happen, so that means this is where we are. But it starts over here. If we don't get this right, we won't get this right. So you want to build a team of volunteers, you want to build a staff at your workplace, which would be over here. You want to give somebody a raise, you want to fire somebody. Whatever that is here, but it all starts here. But the challenge here is, this is a reflex that happens without any thought. You have never taken a class on observation 101. Nobody teaches us. So you look at a person, and all this happens from here to here, happens just like that, in a split second. You're in a grocery store. Okay? Give an example. You're in a grocery store, and there are 3-4 lines that are open, and you got your buggy full. Do you know there's a lot of calculus and trigonometry and arithmetic and geometry that goes into picking a lane? All right. Work with me. Stay in the grocery store. So you observe. The first thing you observe is the checkout clerk. And you say, nah. True. And then you figure out how many people are there, how much they got in their stuff. If they're friendly people, you don't want to get behind friendly people because they're going to talk to her. We are here checking our groceries. You want to witness to her? Wait till she's off on a break. Right now, let's just check out. We're not trying to talk about Jesus. I want to go home. So we form an opinion of the line. Hence, we give that lane an opportunity. You walk into a church and you're looking for a seat. And you've never been there before. And it's a crowded place. You walk in, you observe. You look around. No, I don't think I want to sit with those people there. I don't want to sit with them either. Well, I guess we'll go over there. And then you sit over there. You're buying something. Lady, you're buying a dress. You observe. Try it on. Form an opinion. And then either you buy it or you don't. Do you see how it just flows like this? But what we are not good at is asking ourselves, so what should we observe? And how can we become intentional observers? Because if it starts here, okay, think of this way. How many of you like a good, let me make it steak, a good filet mignon, a good steak? How many of you know that a good steak starts with a good cow? You can't get a good steak from a bad cow. The cow has to be good. Because if it's from a bad cow, doesn't matter how you marinate it, doesn't matter how you grill it, basically whatever you do, it's still going to be fried shoe leather, right? But if you get a good piece of meat, comes from a good cow. Starts over here, but most of us start over here. And we go by other people's opinions rather than our own observations. Because there are some people who won't see any good in you. Because they've already formed an opinion. And in church especially, and workplace too, we are good about sharing our opinions. If I was you, I just don't like her. He's okay, but, he talks, but he doesn't do it. And whatever. It might be true. But your opinion influences other people's opinions. People come to this church and stay at your church because you shared your opinion. Come to my church. It's an amazing church. Great praise and worship. Great teaching. Good parking. Children's programs. Whatever. You give them your opinion, right? Hence, they give you an opportunity. So they are here. Let's just say they get here. But what do they observe? Because what was told them and what they see has to be congruent. Otherwise, it creates dissonance right away. You go on your website, for your website, if you buy stock pictures of a crowd in which there's black and white and brown and gray and and you got Koreans in there, Chinese in there, Indian in there, Mexicans in there, black folk in there, white folk in there, girls in there, boys in there, and you walk in there and ain't nothing looking like that. Do you see? So you've immediately created a dissonance over here because you created an expectation in your mind. So what I want to do in the next, I'm here till 10:30 with you, so I got to drag this thing out. I think hey, I went to college to learn to do that. We can drag things out. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Have you ever been in a church service in which it goes long and you say, that was a good time to stop? Stop it right there. Right there. Just right there. But it's like an airplane. You're just circling the airport. You don't know how to land it, right? And it's like, he could have quit 10 minutes ago. It would have been better if he had. So I think I've said all I want to say, but I'm going to elaborate on this. And after that, I'm going to hopefully give you some stuff and sell you some books. Hey, Mama wants me to bring some money home, so here we go, observations. So the question becomes, if everyone is observing you, and you're observing everybody, and you're doing that right now. You're doing that right now. You can go to a place, you observe, form an opinion, it's boring, and you're going to pull out your phone and pretend you're taking notes, but actually you're texting or whatever, you're Facebooking, whatever you're doing. So what should we observe? What are, I'll give you a few of them. What are things that, if you're going to build a team, and as a leadership conference, if you're going to build leaders, what should we observe? The first thing I think you have to observe is their attitude. You will meet a person's attitude before you'll meet them. You'll meet a person's attitude on the phone. You'll meet a person's attitude when you walk into a place of business or church. So I'm not just looking for people who are greeters who can shake hands. I'm looking for people with some contagious attitude. You don't want prophets and apostles at the door. You just want barely saved people who are still happy, who have not drunk the church juice. You don't have to be deep out there. Just love on people. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. Just love people. Attitude. Many churches, probably you do too, have people out in the parking lot helping people park cars. So what do you call them here? Security, okay. To me, they are what I call pre-evangelists. The altar call starts in the parking lot. No. The preacher might be the closer. But the altar call started out there. So you get somebody out there with a religious spirit. Are you getting it? So, attitudes. Someone said this way, bad attitudes are like bad breath. Everybody else knows it. Don't you just hate it? Don't you just hate it when the preacher says, turn to your neighbor and say, hallelujah. Observations. The second thing, and I've got a bunch of them, I'm just going to do 2-3 of these. The second thing is, if you see my notes, there's got black ink on it, blue ink on it. I'm still working. I'm just working it right now. Thank you. The second thing is, whatever task you give them, are they prepared? Do they come prepared? Do they come to the meeting prepared? Do they dress prepared? Do they know how the system works? Have they done some background on the place? Do they know how the dots connect? Are they prepared? And do they have an understanding of what really happens? Do they understand how the parking lot connects to the greeter and the greeter connects to the usher and the usher? Do they understand it's not just this is not a logistics conveyor belt in a factory that we're moving people in and out. But how does it connect? Does the parking lot person know, the security person in this case, do they know that they are actually preaching out there? And if there are any preachers in the house, do you know that you're the last leg? It's like a relay. It's like a relay. You're just the last leg. The other legs have to do their part. So you can bring it, what to say, preach the paint of the walls, whatever. You can do all you want to, but the other relay partners have not done their part to the best of their ability. You'll be catching up here every Sunday. So you will start with a deficit. I love watching relay races. And the last person who's in a deficit is he did not create the deficit. Or she did not create the deficit. They start with a deficit. And now instead of preaching, they got to do a resurrection service. And that's why they preach long. Because the first 15 minutes has got this exhortation. They sense death in the house. And they're trying to, has God been good to you? Somebody needs to know. So, so you go through, you go through, turn to your neighbor, neighbor. And you go. And you know something? You are doing that because you're observing something. And you're observing it's not there. So I have to do something because you observe something. Let me just give you one more. I got so many more here, but I can't ride all those horses. I'm also looking for people. So there are two kinds of people. One is in a meeting, they say, what if? The other says, what is? So what is just describing the status quo. But you already know that. I'm looking for some creative thinking. If you're writing that down, that might be a good thing to write down. Creative thinkers who can have a sense of imagination. Brenda and I were having breakfast this morning, and we were talking. I don't know how we got on the subject of the difference between human beings and animals. How did that come up? Breakfast. Never mind. Yeah, but somehow we got on that subject. And we were talking about how human beings can make decisions. Human beings can imagine. You have a gift of imagination. So when a child is born, they play with imaginary friends. They have imaginary choo-choo trains. They have imaginary trucks. They have imaginary dolls. They have imaginary weddings. They have imaginary tea parties with those little plastic things. They have imaginary kitchens. And then, so this, we all start off with what if. And then we grow up into what is. We are in this beautiful place. This is gorgeous. Because I'm thinking to where you started. Which was, anytime you get near Pastor Deanne, it's going to be spick and span. Yeah. It may not be fancy, but it's going to be clean. So every location I've been with you, it's been like that. But all this started because somebody had an imagination. And they came on this property down Phillips and said, what if? And we have stopped asking ourselves, what if? Because all our conversations are based on what is. We've got X amount of people. We've got X amount of money. We've got X amount of rooms. We got X amount of parking. So we go by what is rather than what if. And when you observe about people, that's the kind of people I want around me. Because what is, I can see that. I know that. But I want someone to walk in the room and say, Sam, I know the reality, but what if? And then narrow their eyes, you know what I'm talking about? And they start spitting in the corner of their mouth, and they start frothing with excitement, and what if? But there's always somebody else at the table says, can I be the devil's advocate? No, just be the devil. Just go ahead. Take the mask off. Just be the devil. Yeah, let me release you into your destiny. Just be the devil. So you have to ask yourself, how are we good at observing? How intentional are we about observing? Teach your people about observations. If somebody has an opinion, stop them and say, okay, I'm not arguing with your opinion. Tell me, what did you observe that makes you have this? Let me go on to number 2. Opinions. We all have them. We all have them. The sign of maturity, I'm finding out in my life, I don't know if it's true about yours or not, but in my life, the sign of maturity is the ability to change my opinion about somebody. That is a hard one.
Yes, sir.
Change my opinion about somebody who has done me wrong before. Change my opinion about somebody who was unproductive before. Or change my opinion about somebody who was really, really productive at one time, but now just doesn't have it. It's important for me to throw a little Bible in here. Apostle Lafayette Scales is here, so yeah, I know some of you are saying he hasn't said nothing from the Bible yet, so let me make up some stuff here. Just for the sake of saying I said something from the Bible. In 2 Timothy, Paul is in a Roman dungeon in Rome. We don't know he is hours or days away from being beheaded. He's writing his last letter. This is his last letter. That's the hermeneutic behind that. And in there he says to Timothy, who he's writing the letter to, send Mark John to me, because he is profitable for me. Now, you know the story on that. Barnabas and Paul were going the first missionary trip. Barney said, hey, I got Mark John, my nephew, let's take him along. And Paul says, no problem. They went on the trip. Something happened. The Bible is not clear about that, but something happened to the degree that Mark John bailed out on them, and he came home early, and Brother Paul was not happy about that. So they're getting ready to take the second missionary trip, and Paul says to Barnabas, you ready to go? He said, yeah, let me go get Mark John. He said, oh, no, he's not going. He's not going. Because I observed something, I formed an opinion, I'm not going to give him that opportunity. And the contention got so big among them, the Bible tells us, that Barnabas went with his nephew, and Paul picked up a new partner by the name of Silas. That's the last that we see of that. Next time we see is Paul saying, send him to me. And he tells the reason why. He is good for me. I want to submit to you that that is not a statement about Mark John's growth and maturity. That is a statement about Paul's maturity. So the opinions that we have do 4 things. Our opinions do 4 things. They promote, demote, stagnate, terminate. Promote, demote, stagnate, terminate. Promote, demote, stagnate, terminate. So, When you have an opinion of, you can only do four things with that. One is what? The first one, you can do what? You can promote them. All promotion that you've ever received did not come because you're doing a great job. It is because somebody observed you doing a great job. Demote. Step down. Stagnate, leave you like right where you're at. Just, you're there. Or terminate. Almost everybody I fired is because of what I observed. I remember when I was leaving Beulah Heights in 2003. Dr. Karanja, Benson Karanja, was going to be my successor. And I said to Dr. Karanja, so I was leaving end of December. So this was October. I said to Dr. Karanja, said, give me a list of the people you want fired, and I'll fire them before I leave. And I don't want you to be carrying my baggage. I don't want you to be saying the first year, these are all Dr. Chan's people. And no, I don't want, no. I'm going to leave you a clean slate. So he gave me 13 names. I wrote about that in one of my books called Who Moved Your Ladder. So he gave me 13 names. I asked Jackie. I said, my assistant at that time, I said, set me up appointments with every one of them. She set appointments, half-hour appointments with each one of them. And I just simply said to them, listen, you came with me, you can leave with me. Because the only person who was still there, the only two people from, I started in 1989, would be Dr. Keeler and Benson Karanja. The rest of them were hired by me. So they were all my messes. But somebody observed, Dr. Karanja observed, gave me an opinion on 13 people. I gave them an opportunity to move on. And I was honest with them. I just simply said to them, listen, you will not fit in the next administration, so I don't want to make issues for them or issues for you. So you are on your way out. Let me help you get on your way out. So I'm leaving on December 31st. I'll get a resignation from each one of you effective December 31st. And they all did. Nothing personal, while everything is personal. So these opinions do only those four things. So where you are in life today, if you're a salesperson and you walk into a room, people form an opinion of you. You fly, you go to the gate agent, you form an opinion of them. You walk into a furniture store and all those 8 salespeople who are just hanging out, and you try to dodge them, and you're forming an opinion. Everybody's forming opinions all the time. So if you are stuck in life, you are stuck in life because of somebody else's opinion. I know this is really simple, but it's not simplistic. Because I think once we understand this pathway, we will not mess up here. So let me just go here. So there are two functions of people. We all start as functional leaders, and then we become organizational leaders. We all start as functional leaders, and then we become organizational leaders. Functional leaders and organizational leaders. That means functional leader is a person who starts working with things and projects. Organizational leader is somebody who works with people. So everyone in this room, I don't care who you are, every one of us started working with things. Okay? So from 1973 to 77, I was the breakfast cook, dishwasher, and janitor at Beulah Heights. As a janitor, I was working with things. But then they observed something, formed an opinion, and asked me if I would also be over other stuff. So I was moved from working with buckets and mops and brooms and vacuum cleaners and lawnmowers to now working with people. That's a totally different gig. Because my vacuum cleaner never gave me an attitude. My vacuum cleaner didn't have a better idea. My vacuum cleaner was always on time. My vacuum cleaner didn't have opinion about other vacuum cleaners. But when you move people from functional to organizational and give them the opportunity, now you have taken that person out of one environment and placed them in a totally brand new, different environment. And many people cannot make that curve. And the challenge, here are two challenges. Challenge number one is once you have moved a person from a functional to organizational and it's not working out, you are stuck. Second challenge is when you move a person from functional to organizational and they think they are doing it right, but you know it's not happening, you are, give you an example. Let us say I'm one of the four worship leaders. I'm one of the four worship leaders. All I got to do is show up for rehearsal, know my part, know the song, keep a tune, and sing. That's all I got to do. I got to dress whatever they tell me to dress for that Sunday, but I just got to follow. You're looking for somebody to head up your worship and arts department. And you see Sam and say, you know, he's got a good attitude. He's always on time. He comes prepared. He knows his parts. He never gives us any problems. He's never complaining. But you're looking for a leader over the worship and arts department. And you say, Sam, you know how we fix it. I was praying and the Lord, you know, you know how we do that. And so... So you prophesy halfway over me kind of thing and ask me to pray about it, but you know. So let's just say I say yes. That's a real promotion, is it not? My mama is happy, my daddy is happy. At least my family starts giving more. It's on Facebook everywhere. Promotion comes from God. Stay faithful. He's opening new doors. You know, I mean, you know how. Facebook and Twitter and Instagram is lit up with pictures. People are taking pictures and putting it out there. Sam is leading worship. Come to church. Huh? But 3 months into it, you realize I was not cut out for that. Because now, I have to deal with scheduling. I got to deal with musicians who are temperamental. You know, they're tempera and mental. I would not say anything behind people's backs. Just not making eye contact right now. You got to deal with lights and sound and laser and smoke. You know, the Shekinah glory of God. What God has not wrought, I have bought. So yeah, I've got to talk to pastors. You know, what are you preaching? How do we flow with that? I got to do schedule rehearsals. I got to deal with attitudes. I got to deal with other people's opinions. Because when they chose me, somebody else's mama was thinking they should choose their baby. They're dealing with all that. You know what I'm talking about. All that drama is going on. And now, 3 months into it, you discover Sam doesn't have what we thought he had. I observed something, I formed an opinion, I've given him an opportunity, but it's not working out. What are you going to do about that? Because for you can walk up to me and say, Sam, I guess that was not God. And I made a mistake. Well, that's make good private conversation. But my mama ain't happy with that. My friends ain't happy with that. In fact, they're all going to be mad. And when people get mad, what do they do at church? They leave. Yeah, absolutely. That's the right thing to do. That's called church growth. Thank God for people getting mad. They come to your church. If they didn't get mad, you wouldn't have nobody. So, yeah, churches are full of mad people. They couldn't do no harm there, they'll do harm to you. So, in any case, so I want to say to you, I've seen some amazing people get ruined for life because somebody, in their opinion, moved them from functional to organizational. There are many pastors who should not be pastoring. They're great preachers. The pastoring is different from preaching. When you pastor, you got to love people. I'm a preacher. I don't got to love nobody. Bottom line is, you go in the hospital, don't call me, call them. Your marriage is breaking up, carry on. Do you understand what I'm talking about? So just because you can preach and bring it, and people are running up and down, throwing babies and slinging snot, just because they're doing all of that, doesn't mean they could be a good pastor. Because you actually have to shepherd people here. I'm nobody's shepherd. I barely shepherd myself. I'm trying to just put it out there because once you understand that that's not the grace on my life. It takes a whole lot more than preaching to be a pastor. And you got to organize stuff. I get invited, I just show up. I got 3 good sermons that hunt. I don't have to prepare every Sunday. New ones, I don't have to think about. I just got a few that I just recycle. I think if Jesus had 1 sermon, he got away with it, I can get away with 3. So I'm good. Okay. Can I ask you a question? If you were to invite a psalmist, a singer to sing, are they going to write new songs for you? No. If they can sing the same song, I can preach the same sermon. At least that's my... What I'm saying to you is there's a grace and a burden that comes here. So I just walk in. I don't have to worry about is the microphone going to work? Is the lights on? Is the pulpit going to be there in time? Are they going to have the white? I don't have to worry about all that. It's done. Somebody else had to worry about that. And that is what I think Paul meant by saying, lay hands on no man suddenly. So when you give somebody an opportunity, there are only 2 responses to it. One is, oh yes. One is, oh my. So there are, where are we? Here we go. So Jesus was very good at observing people for their value. So here's Jesus, JC. So the 3, Peter, James, and John, 12 disciples, 70 disciples, and the crowd. How many of you know that he spent different amounts of time? So the 3 were there to think. The 12 were there to organize. The 70 were there to do, and the crowd was just public relations, just PR. So where did Jesus spend most of his time? Did he spend most of the time with the 3 or the crowd? The 3. Where do we spend most of our time? Because his observation was, I'm going to be leaving. He was starting with the end in mind. In 3.5 years, I'll be gone. I will heal people, feed people. 500 people will see me after the resurrection. Only about 120 will end up in the upper room. Now remember, I said about. The Bible doesn't say 120. It says about 120. We've always had problems counting church, you know that. Some deacon was standing there saying, looks like about 120 in the room. So that's what happened there. We're still doing the same thing. So after all of thousands of people, it was not going to be the crowd. It was going to be these people. And then it's going to expand to them. But it's going to be primarily these people. Hence, the opportunities given here were different from the opportunities given here. When Jesus had the highest moment of his life as a human being on the Mount of Transfiguration, it was the 3. At the lowest moment in the Garden of Gethsemane, when his blood was sweat like drops of blood, he gave the opportunity to those 3. Those opportunities were not given to everybody else. It was because of his observation, his opinion, and hence the opportunity. So, when you talk about vision, there's the vision creator, casters, carriers, and carers. So there are 4 categories in every church: creator, casters, carriers, and carers. Creator in the church of a vision is no more than 2. Husband, wife, whoever the senior pastors are, the lead pastors. So God has never spoken to a group of people. The vision comes to the top. Then the casters are few, carriers are many, and carers are all. So now I'm trying to frame it for you as to what that looks like in a church. Because in a church, the opportunities have to be given to people whose role that is. Casters are different from carriers. Casters can understand it, they get it, they can articulate it, they can verbalize it, they can keep it cogent, they can keep it to the point, they can actually cast. They are trained to do that. When Jesus sent the 70, he gave them 3x5 cards and said, whatever city you go into, this is what you're going to say if they receive you. This is what you're going to say if they kick you out. Luke chapter 10. This is how you're going to do that. So casters. And most churches, this is where the challenge lies. The challenge is in the leaders of the departments. The challenge is in the leaders who are over volunteers. These are the casters. So, let me just end up by talking about how you cast vision. So there are three words. Heart, head, hands. Heart, head, hands. Heart, head, hands. Heart, head, hands. So when you're casting vision, when you're casting the net, most of us are looking for people to do stuff. So we start with the hands. And when you get to the hands, there's no longevity, there's no sustainability. They see it as a job, not as a responsibility. I'm all for job descriptions. But I'm more for job responsibilities. And the way you answer that question is, if I didn't do this, this would not get done. I am responsible for this. I want people to feel the weight of that. So, heart, head, hands. You got to reach people's hearts. With the heart you feel, with the head you think, with the hands you do. Feel, think, do. Heart, head, hands. Feel, think, do. Heart, head, hands. Feel, think, do. Heart, head, hands. That's the pathway of engaging casters, because if you have an opinion, now you have to know how to reach to those people. They've got to have your heart. It's not who is for you, it is who is with you. There's a big difference between the two. Do you know people who just get it? Just get it? That's what I'm talking about. So you reach the heart, how they feel. Then their head, that comes the training. So feeling is development, training is the head, and heart is the rolling out implementation of the strategies you've given to them. Everyone good? So let me just conclude by 2 sentences, then I want to sell you some stuff. You know, people say, if you buy my stuff, it'll be a real blessing to you. I don't know about all that. I do know this, if you buy my stuff, it'll be a real blessing to me. So keep it real simple here. This is a one-way transaction. Everywhere you're going to go in life, that I'm going to go in life, is going to be because somebody observed me, formed an opinion, and gave me an opportunity. Listen to me real carefully. Even right now, somebody else holds the key to your future. And more importantly, you hold the key to somebody else's future. But that happens over here. My prayer is that we'll become really amazing observers. If I time out, unpack how Jesus called his 12 disciples and how he viewed them. Just maybe I can do this in 45 seconds. So Jesus is watching Matthew, the tax collector, who's gouging his own people. And the Greek word there is theomai. Theomai literally means observed for a long time with desire. Those are the 3 thoughts. Observed for a long time with desire. So Jesus saw Matthew and said to himself, he's doing a very bad thing, but he's doing it excellently. Observed him, formed an opinion, walked up to him and gave him an opportunity. If we could get better here, we'll have better here.
Come and experience transforming worship at New Covenant Christian Ministries. We have 2 locations. Our West Campus is located at 1760 Phillips Road, Lithonia, Georgia. Our East Campus is located at 14147 Highway 278, Covington, Georgia. For more information, please visit our website at www.newcov.org.